stay a while and listen.
The idea for Diablo really came from the guys over at Condor, which eventually became Blizzard North.
They were a solid team, young like us, very good.
Originally, Diablo was going to be a turn-based claymation role-playing game.
And we said, well, we think the core of the idea is excellent, but let us show you what we're doing with 3D these days. And so we kind of redirected them from claymation to 3D. Let's try to imagine what Diablo would have looked like if it were done with claymation.
Diablo seemed a little dark to me. But by that time, I was not going to question the Blizzard. I mean, we'd already had 2 products, each which went #1. That wasn't a coincidence.
With Warcraft 2, we offered network play, and what happened was people wanted to be able to play it over the internet, but we hadn't actually provided facilities for that. So with Diablo, we decided that we should be providing that matchmaking functionality, and that was really where the original idea for BattleNet came from.
We always talked about one-button access. We wanted to be able to just push one button and be playing with your friends, and to be simple, and to not have to enter IP addresses and all kinds of stuff like that.
A really easy way for people to find each other and share the gaming experiences that they wanted to play together.
For us, it was a no-brainer because every day after work, and during work, we'd be playing either Samurai Showdown or Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, and there was just no more satisfying a feeling than whooping your friend versus whooping a computer AI.
One of my claims to fame is I actually defeated Roman Kenny in Street Fighter 2 using my feet. And I would also make sure that after that game, anyone else who wanted to play me played with the foot controller. So they got my funk on their hands, and they were kind of playing like, And so I would defeat them too. Defeat. Look at that.
So we had done Warcraft 2, and we were going to start working on a space-based RTS game.
What geek amongst us, didn't grow up wanting to work on Star Wars? So StarCraft was an opportunity to, dig out a different kind of space opera.
Yeah, it was just a whole bunch of us just throwing crazy ideas around until ultimately you had the Zerg and the Protoss, and the cinematics department was just getting up off the ground.
We knew we wanted to make cinematics. Thing was, there really was not a fleshed out story for the game yet. What we decided to do was create some pieces that could be used in a variety of ways.
Matt and Dwayne had already started working on the intro and things like that, and doing pieces that they thought was going to really sell the Terrans as rednecks.
What you got for me out there, Joey Ray?
We hit pay dirt this time for sure.
We went through the sort of idea of, hey, why don't we put orcs in space and have it be orcs and humans except set in space? That was actually an idea we thought about.
We had just taken the Warcraft 2 engine and created some new art, almost basically skinned Warcraft 2 for a science fiction theme.
Brought it to a consumer electronics show and showed it off, and everybody goes, oh yeah, orcs in space. Like, no, it's not orcs in space.
It turns out at the time we were very proud of it, but by the time the end of the show rolled around, we were actually, I think, a little bit embarrassed.
And really got our asses kicked. We saw what everybody else was doing, and we realized very quickly that we had to change it.
About a year into it, we completely scrapped the art and switched to a more advanced sort of isometric perspective, and it really took on a nice, clean, advanced look.
I said, all right, give me a couple weeks, month, something like that. I'll do a whole new engine. Just lock me in a dark room. When I come out of the dark room, I'll have a new engine, and you can use that, make StarCraft. So that's what I did.
Every day for a month leading up to December, I said, at midnight to all 50 of us who were still there working 7 days a week, don't worry, we're in the home stretch. Of course, we were nowhere near the home stretch.
We thought we were going to ship that game in 1997. Maybe even earlier than that if you think of when we started doing the Orcs in Space version.
For the team, the crunch lasted for about 8 months.
And he kept telling us we were in the home stretch and we were days away. Well, months were passing, and he kept telling us the same thing, and for some reason we kept buying it.
It didn't come out, I think, until April.
But honestly, I look back on it rather fondly.
I took off maybe 18 hours because that's how long it took for Garrett to be born. Garrett's my son.
I have this feeling, that entire team was kind of in the zone.
My wife slept on the couch while I laid my son, 3 days old, on a towel on my desk next to my keyboard.
Really productive, really effective, doing a lot of great work, knowing we were working on something really important.
I'm sitting there, here, have a bottle, just keep on working.
And that was, you know, that was family time at Blizzard in the early days.
That's how I dealt with family and crunch.
It was just a really important project, something we could be proud of. When we first started working on World of Warcraft, it really was sort of the natural evolution of things.
At the point that we decided to really do it, we were, you know, already knee-deep in the development of Warcraft 3.
We kind of envisioned one day we would want to bring the universe of Warcraft to life in sort of a persistent universe game that you could be an individual character within this living, breathing world.
It was a very organic thing to look at the world that was taking shape in terms of the Warcraft 3 product and really translating those ideas to a much more open-ended, real-time world. So in many ways, they were kind of co-developed.
The team got behind it, and we started to, you know, figure out, well, how do we want to build this MMO? What do we want to do different? We wanted something that was a little more faster-paced action, less grind involved, so that you're not sitting around waiting.
You know, I remember when we first started on World of Warcraft, and it was this vast, rich, colorful world. And so to sit down and play it and be really immersed in it and to find it so compelling, it definitely felt like something that was special.
The first creature we made was called a furbog. You would kill these furbogs, and they would drop a nipple ring, which was one of their treasures.
The early development of WoW was awesome. The team was pretty amazing. I remember for probably the first month that I joined, they called me FNG, and I was so happy when we hired the next guy after me, and I no longer had to be FNG.
By the time we put out the original WoW, it was just one of those game worlds that really knew what it was. And I think that was part of the vibe that people experienced when they jumped into the product. They just felt like, just every rock feels like it's placed with love and care.
Typically in game development, when you put a placeholder model in, you put like just a checkerboarded box. It's obvious that this is not the right model. Well, somebody had the bright idea that if they took a picture of me and put it on that cube, that would be better, because then obviously I would see that, and it would encourage me to get the artist to fix that piece of artwork. And so the first bug we got in our alpha was, why is Billy Joel looking at me, and why is Paunch from Chips on my shoulder, or whatever? You know, his shoulder pad was missing, and so there was a cube of me on his shoulder. Yeah, that's the story of the Shane Cube.
We can make our orcs into heroes. We can have goblins flying around on jetpacks. I mean, it's a big, goofy, free universe of infinite possibility.
By the end of the project, we had 60 people on the team, and it took us 5 years to make.
We crunched a lot. The team crunched much longer than we probably should have.
Because it was pretty harsh. We crunched for like 2 years at the end there.
But I think we all felt like not only how we poured blood, sweat, and tears into the game, but it was as great as it possibly could be.
World of Warcraft really has taken on a life of its own in terms of the scope and scale and the size of the community.
But nobody really appreciated how